Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So today we are traveling to Whistler. So after teaching the live session on Monday on YouTube after lunch, we just left home to go to Whistler. Me and my mom, we are on a road trip. Here we are on the Sea to Sky Highway, which is also Highway 99. So we just went through North Vancouver, West Vancouver, and now we're getting closer to Squamish. So we're dropping by Portier Cove to rest a little bit. The parking lot is full because it's BC Day long weekend. So we're just staying here for about like 20 minutes. It's very busy here, lots of people. So I'm just sketching the mountains and water in front of me sitting on a driftwood. Just painting this charming color of the sea in turquoise. And giving it a little bit of contrast and slight bit of turbulence here. Yeah, using a darker turquoise blue. Underpainting for the mountains is diluted yellow ochre. Now I'm doing wet on dry, the foliage, using these choppy brush strokes from lighter green now to a darker shade of green. Using these vertical choppy brush marks to depict the forms of trees, and then using more blue tones for the mountains in the distance. And that's my quick 10-minute sketch. Here we are arriving at Whistler Village around 3:30 in the afternoon. So Whistler is a city that hosted the Winter Olympics in 2010. Here we are in the central part of the bustling village of Whistler. Because it's a long weekend here in BC, there are a lot of people here. So it's too hot to walk any further, so I stopped at the Mogul's Coffee to grab a cup of latte and a snack. So I got a cup of maple latte and ham and cheese croissant for a little snack. And because I was kind of hungry, I just sketched my cup of latte after a few sips. After that, I think I want to sketch this bustling streetscape in front of me on the right hand side of my page. So I spent 1 minute to do a quick pencil draft, as you can see here, because I really want to include the lane here and the buildings on the two sides of the lane and the mountains behind. Make sure I include these important elements in this little sketch. So working in a very busy environment, I need to do a very quick pencil sketch first for about a minute or two to stay focused on my drawing process. So I just drew the windows. A lot of these horizontal lines is going down towards the middle into a vanishing point. And here's the little rectangular prism structure. There are actually two buildings overlapping each other, being foreshortened. And now drawing the trapezoid shapes of these awnings. Now I want to show you my real-time speed drawing, or actually doodling some people. So the back view of a guy and his friend or partner here beside him. Yeah, so now I just want to doodle another person closer to us. As you can see, the head and body is a little bit bigger than the ones behind. And now I want to draw another man, this time a front view. A guy wearing sunglasses and short sleeve shirt. So when drawing people constantly walking, I had to work with my short-term memory as well as my artistic impressions of the human figures. A lot of times I need to combine 2 or 3 people's different body parts together to form one complete sketch of a human figure. Now I'm planting a tree behind the umbrellas of a restaurant's patio area, starting with the branches, and then working on the canopy's outline. And I just drew another tree, doodle some tiny people sitting under the umbrellas. And now I'm ready to draw the building in between. Yeah. And this one is very much not foreshortened at all because the street is bending towards the left. Drawing these little windows and then accentuate them with a bit of shading. Now it's time to work on the beautiful organic contour outline of the mountain behind, seeing the peaks of the trees and get it done. Suggesting some of the peaks of the evergreen trees, writing down the time frame that I did the sketch and a little note, sitting outside the cafe. And now I'm ready to paint watercolors, starting with the sky as usual. So I'm doing wet into moist, very diluted gray that I mix with some cobalt blue and permanent violet over super diluted yellow. As you can see, I also painted the pockets of cerulean blue sky areas before. So just keeping the gray very, very light. Otherwise, they look like thunder clouds. Okay, and keep punching these brush marks. Now, wet into wet, a heavier value of blue-violet gray using the same color mixing recipe. Each brush mark is following my understanding of how the air is moving. A lot of clouds, they're looking very muscular, adding some even heavier grays closer to the outline of the mountain. Now it's time to have fun painting these lovely greens, starting with yellow green. So playing with lime green, viridian green, and lots of lemon yellow and yellow ochre, to get the yellow-green tones. Every brush mark is slightly different. So I'm using a kind of impressionistic approach to paint, especially the foliage forms. Keep punching these little choppy brush marks on to define the clusters of trees. Blending on some darker shade of green that I mix burnt sienna into viridian green. It's very dark along the contour outline here on top. So really enjoying my time here painting in the shaded area outside the cafe. And then I want to add some stronger contrast here on the bottom half of these trees' canopies. So a lot of times you have to be bold to punch on these very heavy, darker valued colors to make your painting more dramatic. Now, painting these artificial colors for the canopies using lemon yellow and permanent red and pink. And finally, if you want to show your world is illuminated in sunshine, you have to paint your shadows. So again, the shadow recipe is the same mix of cobalt blue and permanent violet, echoing with the shadows on the clouds. So this part of the shadow is actually a more diluted version of gray. Shadows are not static silhouettes of the same gray all the way through. So this part I see it lighter. But the middle part is heavier because the leaves are denser on this shadow of the tree on the upper right. And here is a look of my finished 40-minute sketch here on location. My first sketch in Whistler. And right now it's very much dinner time. I think I want to go a little shopping at this fresh street market. Only 2 minutes walk from our Airbnb, and they do have some Asian food here. Noodles with black pepper chicken. That's my favorite stuff. I love noodles. So the food is very nice here. They also have salads, pasta, poke bowl. So me and my mom want to get 2 kinds of soup. The chili soup. And we also want to try this creamy potato soup. They also have a nice shelf of pastry items here. So I want to get a chicken burrito for breakfast tomorrow. So we're going back to our Airbnb, which is an apartment. Yeah, so we are enjoying our little dinner here. We don't eat too much for dinner. And this is our Airbnb. It's small but pretty clean. It has a kitchen and this lovely view of the mountains and the town downstairs. Yeah, enjoying the black pepper chicken with noodles. So after dinner is around 8:30 and it's sunset time. So I think I'm gonna sketch this bottle of pear juice from the grocery shopping. And here is my brand new gooseneck tripod from Amazon. Yeah, so the next 20 minutes of the video is gonna be in real time drawing and painting speed. So first of all, I'm gonna draw the cap of the pear juice, which is an ellipse, the thickness of the cap, and then the folds. Drawing the short shoulders, and then the body part of the bottle, which is between a cylinder and a rectangular prism. Yeah, so the bottom of the bottle is nice and round, not a flat line, because it's kind of like a cylinder. There's a little base. Yeah, so everything is more beautiful when you see and draw it. And now I need to convince the viewer that this is more like a rectangular prism by drawing these 3 soft corners of the prism shape. And then these rings on the cap, smaller and smaller ellipse. Yeah, and then suggesting the shine on the neck area. And then it's time to get these small details on the package. The volume unit, it gives a nice sense of size for the bottle, about 300 milliliters. The brand of the juice, and the graphics of pears in the middle, which is really nicely designed. Yeah, and these surface details, including the graphics and the letters, they are pretty easy and fun to get it done. Once we get the 3-dimensionality of the vessel depicted. Yeah, and just keep these letters pretty quick and doodly. And last few lines to suggest the shine and of the glass bottle using these little segments. And then I want to give this bottle a little platform to stand on. Now I'm drawing the frame for the sunset sky behind the mountains. Okay, so here I am using a blind contour drawing approach to get the shape of the mountain done. It's a little bit like a volcano. And then still using the blind contour drawing technique to trace out the shapes of these trees in front of the mountain. And trying to see the overlapping lines between these trees and get these razor shaped outlines done. And yeah, it's pretty fun to have the bottle of pear juice overlapping in front of the landscape. And one of my secrets of speed drawing is to try not to look at the paper constantly, but spend like 80% of the time looking at the shapes in front of me in the actual scenery, and just quickly move my hand on paper to get the shapes done according to my sensation and seeing. getting some of these branches inside the shapes of trees. And I'm drawing quickly, just really want to capture the beautiful glowing red-orange on the cloud. Yeah, I think the drawing is almost done. Just drawing this flat line of the roof and the foreshortened triangle of the lodge. And another secret to speed drawing is to try not to lift your pen and pause for more than 3 seconds. Yeah, just keep your lines free flowing. Check back on paper to anchor your pen at the right places. Maybe once every 5 seconds or so, and just quickly go back to seeing the scenery and get these lines done without too much hesitation. So if you really want your tree's outlines to look organic, natural, and realistic, you really have to use the blind contour drawing technique by barely looking at the paper at all and spend most of the time seeing and tracing the shapes in front of your eyes without any judgment or working from your preconceptions of trees. None of these trees have perfect cartoony shapes. They're all unique. Okay, so now I think I'm gonna just add more squiggly foliage texture for these trees in the very front and not draw any terrain details for the mountains behind. Just so the details in the back is not coming forward and compete with the details of the trees. And now it's time to paint watercolors. Again, the painting process is in real-time speed without editing or trimming. So I think I'm going to start painting the bottle of pear juice first by wetting the entire area with clear water, mixing cadmium yellow and orange together, dilute it with a little bit of water to get this translucent yellow-orange pretty much all over the bottle, leaving some little spots to shine for the glass surface. So the juice in the higher part of the bottle is not that concentrated in color. Yeah, so just using the residue of yellow-orange on my paint brush tip. Now I'm gonna wait for that first layer of the juice to dry. Now I want to paint this little bit of cloud, which is in very similar colors as the juice, echoing colors, blending orange and permanent red together, using these lively brush marks to show my feeling of air turbulence. Yeah, clouds are always dynamic. Now I'm blending on a little bit of diluted blue and violet kinds of gray for the top part of the clouds. Yeah, keeping my brushstroke lightly and loose. Yeah, so I'm just gonna get this smoky area of the cloud done. And then painting the vibrant blues, and the bottom part of the sky in the evening is kind of a turquoise color, very light in tint of turquoise blue. And now I want to add a bit of higher contrast for the gray area of the cloud. Again, mixing cobalt blue with permanent violet, a little less water. For some areas that's bulging out. Now I'm gonna let the sky area to dry off before painting the mountain area. While waiting, I think I'm gonna paint the next layer for the pear juice, which is more orangey on the edges of the bottle and on the bottom. The juice seems more concentrated in color, and very gentle shading for the bottleneck area. And I'm going to continue to do wet into wet. So I'm mixing a little bit of permanent violet and some blue into orange to get a shade color for the orange colored pear juice. Focusing my shading on the bottom 30% of the bottle. And a basic rule about shading when we're painting or coloring with other mediums, I think it's pretty important to usually the shaded area is not more than 50% of the object, usually. Okay, so you can see I'm just gradually adding the shading starting from the bottom, using blue and violet to shade something yellow-orange, very gently for the neck area. So the neck area is pretty light overall, but it's still mildly shaded. Okay, now I think I'm ready to go back to painting my little landscape behind. Just wetting the mountain area with clear water because I'm using dry cold pressed paper. It's just easier for the watercolor to free flow when you pre-wet it with a little bit of clear water. This is kind of like an underpainting. It's diluted yellow ochre with Naples yellow. The earth underneath all the foliage. Trying to mix a yellow green for these trees. And these trees in the front row, I think they have a lighter color value of yellow-green. So yeah, just loosely get it done. You don't have to do a perfect flat wash when you're painting foliage. So overall, it's yellow-green, but a little bit unstable to show the texture of the trees. Starting to paint some mid-dark green for the back row of trees by mixing Viridian green with a little bit of burnt sienna. Yeah, so these trees in the back row, they're mostly evergreen trees. And these type of trees, they have darker green tones compared to deciduous trees. And yeah, it's very nice contrast happening here with a warmer green and a colder green. Because it's evening time, I also mix a little bit of cobalt blue into the dark green to shade it even further. So a lot of times we can see 2 to 3 or even more kinds of greens on the tree. So just follow your seeing an impression. Be really bold to punch some of the darker shade of green on, because trees, they need to have a sense of volume. So heavier tones are very essential, yeah, as well as those shiny, brighter greens beside it. Okay, time to paint the mountain. So in the evening, mountains, they almost look like dark silhouettes of muted turquoise green. So here I'm mixing Viridian green, burnt sienna, and a little bit of Prussian blue, as well as playing with water control. Some brush marks contains a more concentrated turquoise blue or turquoise green to show the muscles of the mountain form, the part that's bulging out a little bit more, those ridges. And I'm seeing the color value along the contour outline of the mountain is even heavier. Yep. So I mix even more burnt sienna into my dark shade of green. Okay, so now I'm gonna leave the mountain to dry before adding any further definitions of volume and muscles. Now I'm gonna just paint the roof of the lodge. Yeah, and so just grabbing some leftover gray for the roof and some more greens that I missed surrounding the lodge. And I'm going to shade the trees in the front row even further. using my usual recipe of burnt sienna into viridian green, containing very minimal amount of water. Yeah, so the paint really stand out. The shade color, it stands out from the yellow green, mostly on the lower 50% of these trees. So as we are layering from layer 2 to 3 to 4, our brush marks could get smaller and smaller to get those finer renderings done. So as I always mention, if you want your painting to look very powerful and compelling, you have to be very brave to punch in those super dark shades. So this is what I'm doing right now, especially in the evening after sunset. Everything is starting to turn into silhouettes. So a much higher percentage of shade tones at this hour compared to daytime. Grabbing some leftover dark sepia to shade the roof of the vacation lodge. And a little bit more outlining for the mountain using a stronger tone. I think I need to wait for the mountain part to dry even further before adding some even sharper renderings. Now I want to paint the cap of the bottle using leftover gray, using very clear brush marks to skip around those areas of highlights. Just leave them paper white. You will get the shine of something metallic or plastic or glass. And another quick layer for some density. And just having fun coloring the graphics, the yellow pear, then the green leaves on the branch. I want to paint the shadow using my leftover gray, heavier wrapping around the bottom edge. And glazing on this subtle bit of shade on the right side of the bottle. So one tricky thing about watercolors is that after the paint dries, the tone, it tends to fade away a little bit or sometimes even more. So now I want to add some retouches of contrast for these trees there in the back row. So they're really sinking down into the back. And it's very important to add this heavy value when the previous layer is not too wet. Okay, so otherwise we are scraping away the colors even more and not adding any contrast. And now, very last step, that's gonna take 1 more minute. I'm gonna add a new layer for the mountain. So the tone of turquoise green needs to be a little bit stronger. Yeah, I'm gonna start with the contour outline. The middle part is a little bit foggy. And just using the residue, so yeah, the value is lighter. Some more brown depending on my seeing. Some part is looking more earthy green. Yeah, like here, just bulging out. Maybe there's some rocks under those trees. My brush mark is following the muscles of the mountain as I feel. And last few brush marks, and that's pretty much done. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so here's the look of my finished sketches done after dinner. It took me about 25 minutes. And here is my afternoon in Whistler. Stay tuned for more exciting sketches the next day in Whistler. I will see you around very soon in the next video, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.